No. Now you tell him, right, that I made a lot of lies on that live stream, which got people on his side. So you tell him if he doesn't pay me on time, I'm gonna come looking. And I tell you, oh hey, how's it going? I'm Monk, or Mr. Gunkle, if you're from the streets. Now why am I dressed like this? Well, apparently in the last video I did, people said I looked a bit scruffy or unkempt, needed to iron stuff, so I thought I'd spruce up. Well, I didn't think, Dan actually thought I should spruce up, but yeah, I'm not sure I'm happy about it. But have you ever heard of the Stanley Hotel? Deep in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, which has inspired one of the most terrifying novels in the last 50 years. I'm not talking about Twilight, I'm talking about The Shining. Most of you probably know about the Stanley Hotel, but a lot of you probably know it as the Overlook Hotel from the book, the Stanley Kubrick movie, The Shining. The Stanley Hotel has had stories over the years about ghostly kids running down the hallways, a phantom pianist playing at night, and a housekeeper who never left even after passing on. And Stephen King himself once stayed at that hotel, which he might have been on a binge, who knows? You know what he was like back in the day. And we're going to go over the stories and the supposed hauntings which have supposedly happened in the Stanley Hotel. Dan, I'm really not comfortable with this, but...
Why you look fine in that?
I need my own stuff.
Okay then, go change.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay then. That's better. Anyway, let's go. Sorry, just doing some gardening. Built in 1909 by F.O. Stanley, who was a science man, an innovator, but he was a spiritual man. It was a bit windy out there, I had to come back inside. But the hotel was intended as a luxury retreat, but within decades it became known for its haunted stories and other ghostly sightings which would overshadow its grandeur and splendor. In 1974, Stephen King himself was staying there, and he had a wild dream about his son at the time being chased down the hallways by an unseen force. And this is what led him to write the book, The Shining. One of the more explosive stories, in 1911 in the famous room 217, housekeeper Elizabeth Wilson was working in the room when all of a sudden a gas explosion ripped through the room where she was almost killed. But she did survive. Now, even though she didn't die at the hotel, guests have said that they can still feel her presence working there, walking around. People have had their clothes folded by unseen hands, light flicker in the room of 217, as if being turned off by a ghostly figure. And cold spots and the sensation of being tucked into bed at night in room 217. It's that old adage, you know, if she didn't die there, why is a ghost there? Did she really like it there? I don't know. But it is good, after all. Flora Stanley, the wife of the hotel founder, was an avid pianist, and she liked playing the piano at nights, calmed the guests. And since her passing, guests at that hotel have said they can hear soft, melodic music roaming the halls at night. Even in rooms which are locked for the night with no guests staying in those rooms, some people have said they can hear music coming from those rooms. Paranormal investigators have recorded various musical sounds in that hotel over the years. Some say they're reminiscent of early 1900s compositions, but you know, piano music is piano music after all. I like a good little tinkle on a piano. It's pretty cool. On the fourth floor of the hotel, people have said they have heard children and screams and giggles going throughout the hallways at night. People have seen kids' handprints on the mirrors in their bathrooms. They've had the bed sheets pulled off them at night. And some people have linked this to the tuberculosis outbreak in the 1900s, where the hotel was used as a makeshift hospital for sick kids during the outbreak. Now let's go into some of the theories and conspiracies related to that hotel. Some people have said it's a residual energy haunting where the granite beneath the hotel reacts like a conductor and soaks in all that emotional damage over the years at the hotel. And people have suggested that could lead to the hauntings in the hallways and the rooms at night. Others have said there's like intelligent hauntings or something, where the guests and former staff members of the hotel, when they've passed on, whether they've died at the hotel or not, once they've passed on, they've gone back to the hotel and they're sort of like protecting it or something. But that one's weird to me, if you ask me. What are they protecting? Are they protecting the hotel, the people who work there, the nice scenic mountains? I don't know. It's a weird one, that one is for me. The more bizarre theory, to me at least, was that during the early stages of that hotel, there was electrical experiments conducted. Now, this is just local rumor. Whether those rumors are actually true, we'll never know. But apparently, people have said those experiments could have contributed to the hauntings, supposed hauntings, at the hotel. That one's a bit weird to me, I must admit. What's that? No. They're fine. They can't see you. Don't worry, it's fine. Sorry. So some of the more notable people to stay at that hotel over the years, you've obviously had Stephen King, you've had Bob Dylan, you've had various people stay over the years, one of them being Jim Carrey. Back when he was filming the original Dumb and Dumber movie, the good movie, Jim Carrey was one of the guests staying at the Stanley Hotel at the time. And he asked if he could stay in room 217 because he was a big fan of The Shining, big fan of Stephen King. So he wanted to stay at the room to see if there was all that jazz. The story goes, he lasted 3 hours, left the room in a panic and said to the receptionist downstairs, "I'm moving out, I'm not staying in that room." And he never went back. Now, he's never explained why he left that room in such a hurry. Did he see a ghost or feel a presence in that room? Was he late for a shoot? On set, I mean. Or was it just Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey in one of his funny moments? But to this day, he's never explained himself why he ran out of room 217. Oh, sorry. I don't know what I was thinking about then. Now, finally on to Stephen King himself. The writer of the book, the Stanley Kubrick film, Stephen King actually hated. Even though it's a genuinely good film, it wasn't in Stephen King's original vision. Because the book, if you've read the book is very different. The characters are mainly the same, but the story is loosely the same. But there's a lot very different in the book compared to the movie. So Stephen King actually did not like Stanley Kubrick's version of his vision storytelling, which is understandable. But the reason Stephen King wrote that book in the first place is in 1974, him and his wife Tabitha were staying at the hotel in room 217. There were no other guests there at night. They were the only ones staying at the hotel. I think it was like winter or something. I can't remember. That night, when Stephen King and his wife went to bed, he dreamt that his child was being chased down the hallway by a fire hose. Now that sounds bloody nuts, but that is actually in the book. But in his dreams, his kid was being chased by this fire hose, screaming, running down the hallways, and he woke up in such a terror. With his heart pounding, he lit a cigarette, and by the time he finished the cigarette, the idea of The Shining was already melded. King said years later that the story of The Shining, connected to the dream of his kid in room 217, was almost as if the hotel was giving him a message to tell the story of possibly what happened in that hotel in the early years. But you know, in King's own admission, he was a bit nuts back in the 70s. He was on a few drugs. Could have been to do with that. But you know, I'm not here to judge people. But either way, it did spawn one of the best stories, one of the best horror stories, books, and also movies to date. So that's it. That was the history of the Stanley Hotel. I hope you enjoyed. And what do you think about the theories and the explanations of what goes on in that hotel? Do you think it's scientific experiments, residual energy, or just some people high as a kite? But either way, it is an interesting place. What's that? Bum Bum. The hell's Bum Bum? Do you mean red rum? You haven't got quite used to this yet. He's a I don't know, I have to have a speak to him. But anyway, I've been Uncle. And I'll be back, don't know when, don't know how, with another story from more terrifying stuff from the grave or some shit. Right, I'm gonna roam these halls now and try and reminisce of the mistakes I've made throughout life. And you're coming with me. But anyway, thanks for watching and bye for now.